All right. So this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. I'm Sean, and I made you a video. We're going to watch that video real quick. It's only about 5 minutes long. Then afterwards, we're going to hang out, talk about the video, and anything else you guys want to talk about. So thanks for coming to the show. Please like and share. And here's the video for the week. It's called The Truth About the Catholic Church. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. On this episode, we're going to go into the truth behind one of the most powerful and influential organizations on the planet, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has a history drenched in blood and violence. This is well known. But I believe there is much more going on, and that the Vatican and the entire Catholic Church is nothing more than a front for satanic Kabbalists who possess very ancient dark occult knowledge and wish to use that knowledge to control and deceive all of mankind as the New World Order, one world religion. The history of the Vatican and the Catholic Church is not a holy one. Many wars, coups, and assassinations were perpetrated by the Vatican, and the Catholic Church's power and status didn't come from willful adoption of their faith, but rather from brutal, bloody conquest and compliance by force. Once they gained control of territories, they'd burn their histories and rewrite them in their own favor. The Vatican and Catholic Church is personally responsible for holding humanity back and keeping society ignorant and compliant, especially throughout the Dark Ages. But it goes much deeper than even all of that. Let's take a closer look at the Vatican and Catholic Church and see just how holy they really are. We'll start by looking at Vatican City. Fun little fact. Did you know that Vatican City is a sovereign state? Essentially, it's its own little country. It is ruled by the Pope, who is also the head of the Catholic Church, at least on the surface. In reality, it is ruled by the Black Pope, who few people are even aware of, but he is the true leader of the Church from the shadows, and that's just the top layer of the heavy deception of the Catholic Church. Vatican City is laid out in a very interesting way, with an obelisk prominently displayed in the center. You will find obelisks just like this strewn all around the domains of Mystery Babylon. It symbolizes the penis of Osiris and is a Luciferian monument of power. In fact, the more you look around the Vatican, the more satanic imagery and art you will find. It's not hidden, but it never is. It's always right out in the open. The Pope himself sits on thrones like this one, adorned with inverted crosses on it, in front of satanic altars like this, in a room that is literally designed to look like a serpent. Gargoyles and demons prominently adorn all of their architecture, along with depictions of sex, violence, and torture. It's all over the buildings. They love to rub it in your face. These are just a sampling. You can find hundreds of examples of this twisted satanic imagery on their temples and churches. Saints and false idols are encouraged by the church, when those are clearly forbidden by God. The fake front pope even claims to speak for God, and more than that, be the earthly representation of God. The truth is all out in the open and clear as day, and they laugh as we ignore their true intent and purpose. The Catholic Church is not a Christian organization. It is satanic and Luciferian organization masquerading as a Christian organization. Its purpose is deception, greed, and power, and its history is violence, both physical and sexual. Pedophilia and sexual abuse run rampant throughout the church, so much so that a large percentage of the money that the Catholic Church takes in is used to pay victims of sexual abuse. Huge sex trafficking rings have been busted running out of the Catholic Church. Countless people have been victims of these predators hiding as men of God. The Catholic Church is satanic. It is arguably the most evil and powerful organization on this planet, and it needs to be exposed for what it is. For hundreds of years, they have deceived humanity and been allowed to accumulate a massive fortune and unlimited power while getting people to worship Satan in place of God. They are an enemy of humanity, whether you are religious or not. But if you're a Christian, You must fight to expose the lie of the Catholic Church and stop the bastardization of Christ's messages perpetrated by these Luciferian deceivers. Share this video and spread the truth, because we are living in the age of deceit, and the truth and the full armor of God is our only weapon against the onslaught of lies. Thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and we'll see you next time right here from me on Things and Stuff. All right, that was the video that I made for you this week on the Catholic Church. And as you can see, I have very strong feelings about the Catholic Church. Now, nice little pop-up. I welcome any debate. Hello. I welcome any debate in the comment section. If you disagree with my stance that the Catholic Church is a satanic Luciferian organization masquerading as a Christian organization, and I would love to hear your side of that. If you disagree, if you feel differently, if you feel that they are a holy organization, that they are men of God, and that they do represent what they say that they represent instead of what they show you. Helen says it's not a church, it's a business. Exactly. It is clearly a business. It's actually its own country. My hat's crooked. It is its own country. See, Rome never fell. Vatican City is basically Rome today. It just went underground, and they concentrated all their wealth and power into the Catholic Church, and also underground secret societies, and spread their web across the world. That's what really happened. It just subverted. But the Catholic Church itself is a deceitful organization, much more than a greed-driven business. Helen's absolutely right. It is a greed-driven business, and it's a very good business. There is a lot of money to be made in religion, and many people have made quite a good living for themselves off of religion. And that, as a Christian, now this isn't a religious show. I don't think I'm going to beat you over the head with my religious beliefs, but as a Christian, that drives me insane. People like Joel Osteen, but the Catholic Church's greed is on a level that Joel Osteen dreams about attaining. It's a level that Joel Osteen's never going to reach. They have massive amounts of money, probably one of the richest organizations on the planet, and they have a massive amount of gold, art, history, and like Helen says, tax-free, and they get kickbacks. It's disgusting. And there are good churches out there, and there are good religious people out there. So I know that because I am one, and I go to a good church that is not, the pastor doesn't drive a $100,000 car. The nicest thing I've seen him have is a Harley, and the church bought that for him. A bunch of the guys got together, and raised a bunch of money and bought him that Harley. So he doesn't live lavish. It happens. It exists where churches actually do what they're supposed to do and spread the word of God and help the community, which is what they should be doing. Now, what Joel Osteen does is sell out a stadium, the former Hawks Stadium, and rake in millions of dollars. He doesn't help the community. But that's even what the Catholic Church does is even worse than what Joel Osteen's doing. Because they're taking in massive amounts of money. As we've already established, they're one of the wealthiest organizations on the planet. And paying zero tax on it, getting protected status, having huge influence on the foreign policies of the entire world, basically, because you've got us in their back pocket. We defend them, and the United Nations and all your usual players, all heavily, the Vatican has heavy influence on them. You can look at all these world leaders bowing down to the Pope. And they're not all Christian. A lot of them are different religions, but they all bow down to the Pope. Helen says they don't have collection plates. They literally have collection buckets. Oh, the Catholics. What I was going to say about the Catholics is the reason that they're worse than Joel Osteen even is that they won't help you if you're not Catholic. I suffer from depression and bipolar, and I have PTSD. A lot of people don't like to talk about that kind of stuff, and I'm not bringing it up for any kind of sympathy or pity, but I've had times in my life when I needed help. One of those times, I went and decided I was going to go to a church for help, where I was feeling suicidal. First place I went, closest one to my house, was a Catholic church. They wouldn't even talk to me because I wasn't Catholic. The guy basically told me there's nothing he can do for me because I wasn't Catholic. I'm like, that doesn't seem very godly. That was one of my first impressions. And when you start peeling back layers, you start seeing that not only do they have a bloody history, as I talked about in the video, but they, there's the whole greed issue where you're talking to people about poverty and world problems while you're sitting on a golden throne. That is ridiculous. How anyone takes the Pope seriously with his golden scepters and his lavish luxury all around him as he talks about inequality in the world. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. These people are so wealthy, they could wipe out, they could eliminate certain forms of poverty, certain forms of starvation. They could eliminate certain diseases if they wanted to. Things that are wrong in the world, they could wipe it out, but they don't. They sit on their wealth. They sit on their golden thrones and, ask you for money. But the Catholic Church is worse than any other church because the Catholic Church, and they've done this to themselves, have a history of pedophilia and covering up pedophilia. And as a result of that, they put out a large portion of the money that they take in paying off victims of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is so rampant throughout the Catholic Church that I didn't mention it in the video because I wanted to research it heavier, but I believe it's an astronomical figure. I want to say 85% of the donations that they take in, they pay out in retribution to sexual assault victims. That's probably not accurate. Again, I hate to bring up math. I hate to get into math, finances, anything that has to do with math, basically. I didn't do very well in math in school, and when I start trying, I can rattle a lot of stuff off the top of my head, but I don't ever trust myself when I'm rattling off math or figures. So, but it's a very large percentage of the money that they take in. If you're giving money to the Catholic Church, you are supporting pedophilia. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are absolutely supporting pedophilia when you give money to the Catholic Church. And because they don't do anything about it. They just they'll move the priest, pay off the victims, sweep it all under the rug. So they've done that to themselves. And, the media doesn't really report that. You hear about it here or there because it's rampant. There's no way for them to hide it, but they try the best they can. You don't hear much about it. Like I was doing a recent episode and I brought up the massive pedophile ring that was busted in Pennsylvania out of the Catholic Church. 80-something churches, 100-something priests, and thousands of victims over a span of, I don't remember how many years, 17? But anyways, a huge story. And two of the people in my feed, and it wasn't a whole lot of people at my feed, hadn't heard this story. Now that's weird to me. You get such a massive bust, should have been huge news, but no, just mentioned a couple times, swept under the rug. If you don't watch and seek out your own knowledge, there's a lot you don't really hear about. It's a little weird that I'm vaping and smoking at the same time, isn't it? I'm trying to get used to the vape, trying to switch to that, because I want to taper off, but most of the time they make me gag. They only don't make me gag for some reason if I have a cigarette involved. If I've already started smoking a cigarette and then I try to take the vape pen, I'm trying to get used to it though, so I can start using it. But so they have not only a bloodthirsty history, and not just bloodthirsty, also torturous, and just ugh. Their history is disgusting. They have an evil history. So they have an evil history, they have an evil present. What's going on behind the curtain? What else is there? So there's two good reasons to believe that this organization is evil. But what other reasons do you have? Well, there's certain bastardizations of Christianity that the Catholic Church does regularly. Not only does the Pope sit on thrones with inverted crosses, they also carry the bent cross. And the bent cross is a Luciferian symbol as well. So is the obelisk, as we covered in the video, and that's in Vatican City. But you'll find those all over Mystery Babylon. All of the historical sites of Mystery Babylon will have obelisks. And that's one of the unifying qualities. Now, that's not because everybody's really into Egyptian architecture. It's because that symbol has meaning to the powers that be. And what it symbolizes is the penis of Osiris. It's a Luciferian symbol of power, and it's the symbol of the penis of Osiris. But it's prominently displayed right there in the Vatican courtyard. But all over their churches and buildings are gargoyles and demons and depictions of sex and violence, as we covered in the video. Hold on, I gotta let my dog out of the room. Sorry about that. That's one of the things about live video. The dog doesn't give a shit. All right? What the dog wants when the dog wants it. So she would have just kept barking had I not got up and let her out. Helen says, vaping tickles my throat, makes me cough. Oh my, I gag on them. Like if I'm smoking a cigarette, I can use it. Right now I use it to maybe smoke a third of this cigarette. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't taken that many drags off the cigarette, and I took one off the vape pen. I can kind of ease myself into it like that. But if I just try to vape, I gag on it every time. I can't. I don't know why. I don't know why. Robert says quitting smoking was much easier than I ever thought it would be. Now Dr. Pepper, that was an issue. For me, it's Mountain Dew. That would be the next thing I'd need to take on. I have two really bad habits: smoking, and I drink Mountain Dew all day long. I love Mountain Dew. I'm addicted to it. Definitely addicted to it. But I want to finish nailing this Catholic Church point home about the truth about the Catholic Church and why I say they're satanic and Luciferian. Now, we established their greed and how they don't even help people that aren't Catholic. They don't reach out. They're not Christ-like. So far, they're not Christian at all, really, right? Then they also have saints and idols, which are forbidden. The Pope claims to be God, basically. He claims to speak for God and be the earthly representation of God. And he wants, is worshipped as such. They are also responsible for moving the holy day from Saturday to Sunday. And the significance of that is that Luciferian worship, Satanic worship, they worship the sun. The sun, the morning star. Lucifer is one of the things he's referred to as the morning star. That's the sun. So you move the holy day to Sunday, and you're worshiping something other than what the people think that they're worshiping, and they're none the wiser. You see what I mean? It's all deception and lies and misdirection. Just like the Pope isn't the real leader of the Catholic Church, it's the Black Pope. A lot of people don't even know that the Black Pope exists, but the Black Pope is the true leader of the Catholic Church. But I could go on and on and on about the Catholic Church being evil, but I think everyone here is on board. No one's disagreeing. So if anybody is here that would like to refute what I've said about the Catholic Church, or feels that the Catholic Church is worth defending, I would love to hear from you. And I am not saying that so that I could mock you or attack you. I really want to hear the defense of the Catholic Church. When I posted that video, it's an aggressive video. It's only 5 minutes long, and it's right to the point, and it nails it home. There's no beating around the bush in that video. I don't get you ready for it. I throw you right into it. I think they're satanic and Luciferian. I know for a fact they're the New World Order one religion. When in the New World Order's plan, there is only one religion, one world religion, and that religion is going to be the Catholic Church. It's not going to be peace and love and something new. The one world religion is already established. Helen says she smokes cigars like cigarettes. People don't bum them as much. Yeah. My stepdad smoked non-filters for that same reason. Because people wouldn't bum them off of him. They didn't want to smoke the non-filter. Robert says child abuse and molestation seems to be woven into the fabric of their culture, which is another satanic trait. And when I mention Satanism, I am not talking about the Satanic Church that has a coloring book and after-school projects and, actually has a pretty down-to-earth manifesto. I'm not talking about them. To me, that's cartoon. It's not real. I'm talking about these people. This is who I'm talking about. That is Moloch. That's a demon. And they're worshiping him. That's who I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. These people who believe in the dark occult, and they believe in demons, they believe in evil. Whether you do or not, the people that pull the strings and run our world do. So it's important in understanding their motives and understanding their actions to understand that they do believe. And they are playing out biblical prophecy. A lot of people, wonder what the focus is and what the big deal about the Holy Land and all these biblical sites is, and how it's made such a big deal of, and so much military action is used to protect and acquire these sites. It's all because it's part of their master plan. They want things in the Bible and prophecy to play out the way it's written. They just believe that they're going to win, that God will fail and they will prevail. Helen says, I hate the taste of the burning paper. I like cigars. I couldn't smoke them like a cigarette, but I do like them. They give you like
maybe not you because you're used to them, but when you're not used to them, they give you a little bit of a buzz, and they do taste good. Because, you know, the burning paper, I'm so used to it, I don't even notice it, but it is harsh. You can tell the difference when you smoke a cigar. You know, you can tell the difference. It's all tobacco. But I don't want this whole show to be a downer. So I think I've more than well established why I feel the way I feel about the Catholic Church. And let's talk about something fun for a minute. I have some questions, and they're questions about the moon. All right. Now, I've been open with the fact that I don't believe we've ever been to the moon. I think all the moon missions were fake. I don't believe we can go outside of low Earth orbit. I believe a lot of what NASA says and puts out is bullshit propaganda and cartoons and CGI. But other than that, I don't have any firm beliefs. You know what I mean? I'm open to all theories, and I look at a lot of different stuff. And I've seen some very interesting things that have made me ask some questions of myself. Some things one of them I always kind of wondered. And I'll just start with that one. So when you're looking at the moon with your naked eye, you know, good visibility, clear day or clear night, you can see craters. In particular, the one you see the most defined one is the Tycho crater, which is at the bottom of it, towards the bottom, and it looks like where you tie a balloon. You know how it looks like there's that little pinch in the moon? Am I describing it right? You know what I'm talking about. But you can see it clearly from Earth. Now, why is that weird? You're like, okay, well, you just said it was a clear night. All right, that's weird because the Tycho crater, that crater that you can see with your naked eye, is only 53 miles across. All right? And it's supposed to be 250,000 miles away. Now start doing the math in your head. I established at the beginning of the show that I'm not good at math, but I'm looking at a 53-mile circle 250,000 miles away with my naked eye. How is that possible? How can I see any definition on the moon with my naked eye? And how am I seeing a crater that is supposed to only be 53 miles across from 250,000 miles away? And maybe there's someone here that can answer that question. I should have tagged or invited Dr. Ben Davis from Ask Dr. Ben. I really want to know. And I really want an answer to my second question, which I never thought of before. You know, I always thought it was really cool when you could see the moon really clearly during the day. And I like looking at it. I always like looking at the moon. It was always fascinating to me. But I never thought twice about seeing it during the day until someone put the question out there of why can I see the moon during the day? The moon is 250,000 miles away in the blackness of space. Now, the sky is blue because of our atmosphere. So the light, according to mainstream science, the light from the sun is hitting our atmosphere and causing a prism, which causes all the colors that we experience and all the light and what makes the sky blue and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the moon is not in blue sky. The moon is 250,000 miles away in blackness. So why is it part of my blue sky? I really want to know. Like, now that and like I said, I never thought twice about it. But now I'm wanting to know, because the sun is lighting up the things in our atmosphere, which is inside the blue bubble. How come I can see the moon? Hey, Steve. Someone invite a scientist. I really want answers to these two questions. Because, sometimes you're watching, like, I'll be honest, this stuff is from flat earth videos. These questions that I'm posing right now were brought up in flat earth videos. But you'll be seeing it and you're like, okay, it's because I like conspiracies. I don't have to agree with everything I watch. So I can watch them and have fun. And I sit there and be like, okay, you're shooting holes in it, playing around. These are two very good questions. Why can I see a 53-mile radius crater from 250,000 miles away with my naked eye? And why am I seeing the moon clearly during the day? And clear as day. Like, you can make out the Tycho crater during the day too. So I would love answers to those. That'd be really cool. Because I am willing to admit that there are much smarter people than me in certain areas. And, there are times when I depend on them to help. And then when they want to know about things like 9/11, they call me. I'm the tinfoil hat guy. I'm not the number cruncher. I'm not the physics guy. I practice in common sense. And I find that gets you pretty far. But let's see, what do you guys want to talk about? How long have we even been going? We haven't been going that long. We can go a while longer. So what do you guys want to get into? Because we have exhausted my notes. I wanted to ask those two moon questions, but I was kind of hoping that it would get more people talking about the moon. Well, what do you think about the moon? Out of the people here, do you think we've ever been to the moon? Do you believe the moon missions were real, or do you believe that they were fake and staged? Steve says Pizzagate. I've never really done a show on Pizzagate, but let's do it. Let's talk about it, because that is something that got swept under the rug. And the reason why it got swept under the rug isn't because it was crazy. It was because it's not. Sex trafficking and sex rings and all that are very, very real. And it is a huge problem. Now, whether you want to buy into the fact that the elites are part of this or not, you got to at least buy into it exists and is real. But there's more and more things being exposed. Like I mentioned, the huge Catholic Church pedophile ring that was busted in Pennsylvania. But then there's also this, what's the name of it? It's got a weird name, this sex cult. But anyways, the actress from Smallville was recruiting women for this sex cult. What is the name of this sex cult? It starts with an N. It's a weird name. But no, Pizzagate was serious. And I'm not sure whether or not Comet Pizza was running a pedophilia ring out of their pizza joint, out of the basement of their pizza joint. But what I do know is that they do a shit ton of weird stuff. And if you ever looked at their Instagram is twisted. Now, you could be like, oh, that's just art. That's just them expressing themselves, duct taping children to tables with their mouths duct taped and taking pictures of kids in their underwear and, decapitated doll babies and different sick shit on their Instagram. Weird, very weird performance art, I guess if you want to call it that, where they're talking about pedophilia. It's been recorded taking place inside a Comet Pizza. There's enough. they brought it on themselves. It drove me nuts watching that guy get on TV and act like there was no reason why anyone would think something's weird going on in this place. There's tons of reason to think something weird's going on in that place. Anyway, it's not important that you believe that one was running out of Comet Pizza. There was enough in the Podesta emails to implicate at least John Podesta, and I never can remember his brother's name. And you know what? I think his brother's even more powerful and rich than he is. But I never remember his name. But the Podesta brothers were both implicated in some pedophilia shit. There was a lot of code in those emails. Unless you really believe that these elite, powerful people are having pizza parties and talking to each other about nachos and hot dogs and pizza all the time. And when they ask somebody, is this memo handkerchief related? What does that have to do with anything? Why you left a black and white checkered handkerchief at a certain location and you need to go back, and then other references to handkerchiefs at later times. There's clearly code going on in these emails, and it should scare you to death that you combed over those as a regular person and found everything that you found and found all the reasons to be suspicious that you found, and it was there. Whether they mock you and say that it wasn't or not, that's crazy talk, because it was there in massive amounts. You know, Tony, thank you, Robert. Tony, I always want to call him Steve, and before it'll even leave my mouth, I'm like, his name is not Steve Podesta. But my brain's always like, yeah, it is, it's Steve. Like an idiot. But no, Tony. Let me see. I'm going to butcher your name. I hate when this happens. Yorick? Is it Yorick? Christine? The elites, which include the Catholic Church, have historically indulged in whatever behavior they please, sexual and otherwise. Do as thou wilt. That was one of their wizards, their heroes, their mentors, Aleister Crowley. That was his philosophy. Do as thou wilt. That's also a Luciferian philosophy. These people, first off, they don't even look at you as people. They look at you as less than. Specifically, the Zionists call you goyim, but they all look at you as sheep and cattle. When people throw that around, there's basis to it. The elites see you as nothing more than figures on a page. They don't care about you, and if anything, they feel like there are way too many of you. Helen, again, she says Satanists aren't as evil as Catholics. You know what you're getting with Satanists. Again, maybe I'm using the wrong word to describe them. That's why I always say Satanic, Luciferian. I'm talking about demon worshipers that take it to the extreme evil side, the evil perspective. I understand that there is a Church of Satan that actually has, I don't know if that is it a list of 10 commandments, but they're very reasonable and all about treating people with respect and all of that. And they have a very nice coloring book, and they do after school programs, and I'm aware that they exist. That's not who I'm talking about. Yeah, they are psychopaths. Am I saying that right, Ulrich? Yuli. Okay, Yuli. So Yuli says that we are absolutely nothing to them. They are psychopaths. That's what's important to remember when you're thinking about this, and you're like, oh, people wouldn't do that to you. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do this or that. And then it's because you're thinking like you wouldn't do that. They would do that. They're psychopaths. That's absolutely right. And they don't value you. So it's nothing to them to pull off a 9/11 and kill 3,000 Americans. They don't care. They wanted large numbers. They may have even planned for it to be more than 3,000. But no, they're crazy. They're psychopaths. And they're bred to be. They're bred to be. These elite bloodlines, they've been in power for hundreds of years. And they feel like they're above you, they're superior to you. And their lackeys do too. Their lackeys enjoy a quality of life above the average person. They're not on the stage of the elites, but they get patted on the head by them, you know, and they feel like they're above you too. And by their lackeys, I'm talking about people like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Obama, basically any president you've had since John F. Kennedy. You know, your Mitch McConnells, people like that. You get little pats on the head, bonuses, a little money put in the breast pocket of the suit, but they don't sit at the same table as the elites, but they still feel like they're better than you. Steve says, talk about the Georgia Guidestones. I was going to wait till it came back up in the clip because I saw that you had said that, but I don't remember. It's in there. But the Georgia Guidestones is the Illuminati Stonehenge. And when I say Illuminati, I don't know why I do this every time I bring it up, but I feel like I don't want to get tripped up too much on the name. I don't give a shit what you call them. As long as you understand that a handful of people control this world and control everything from behind the scenes. As long as you're that on board, I'm happy. So whether you call it the New World Order, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the greedy elites, the predator class. The predator class is one of my favorite things to call them. But they're real, they exist, and they control everything. As long as you're that on board, we can move forward. But the Georgia Guidestones is a monument in Georgia. And every time I bring this up, I realize I'm not prepared to talk about it because I never know how many languages there's rules, an outline for it seems to be an outline for society after a apocalyptic event, rules for how to continue. And I'm going to try to list them off the top of my head, but the very first one is maintain humanity under a level of 500 million. And there are 7.7 billion of us right now. Now, a lot of these elites, and one in particular, talks about that figure openly. Ted Turner openly talks about how he feels there needs to be 500 million people. That's it. That they all believe that the problems of this world and the problems of the planet and all of that is that there's too many of us. There's too many of us. We're just rodents and parasites, and there's too many of us. They need to get rid of a massive amount of us. And they're doing it all across the world. It's just we're the fat, spoiled children. We haven't been affected yet. No one's taken our plate yet. We're the bullies. We live in the country that happens to be the military arm of the powers that be, the predator class. We happen to live in that country, so we get to enjoy that. One day it will be our turn. Part of their plan, part of the world dominance plan is the fall of America. And when that happens, then we will start feeling what the rest of the world already feels. But when you see things like starvation in Africa and these people that are basically walking skeletons, it's all by design. These people are being wiped out. You know, it could all be stopped if there was any desire to fucking stop it. So that leaves you with two things. That leaves you with that we're just entirely complicit in every bad thing that happens, or it's by design. But the Georgia Guidestones are something easy to look into, and they're very interesting. Now, like I said, they lay out the rules for humanity, and all of it sounds very innocuous and very innocent, except that maintain humanity under a level of 500 million. Because that means that either a lot of us have already died, or a lot of us are planning to go. They're planning to get rid of a large amount of us. And a lot of the elites, to primarily Bill Gates, plan to do that through the use of vaccines, which, again, I'm not super great at math, but I don't know how something that makes you healthy equals less people. So, but the Georgia Guidestones, let's stay on that for just a second. I keep trying to skip, and I pull myself back because I'm like, you didn't finish talking about that. No one knows who paid for them. So they're this, they're made of marble. They're a very nice, very large structure. Have all kinds of geometric qualities to it. Like it lines up with certain stars and it lines up with the sun in a certain way. And it's a calendar and it's all these different things. It's a very neat structure. No one knows who paid for it. Nobody knows who put the money up for it and designed it and called for it to be made. It was commissioned under a pseudonym. The only thing that's known is the pseudonym R.C. Christian. Now, a lot of people think that means Rosicrucians, and there it is, Georgia Guidestones. That's it right there, and it's got these rules for society. Wish I could pause that. Written in, I think it's 9 different languages, and that's all that's written on it. Except there's other things. There's like weird little numbers that no one knows what they mean, and there's a cube that was inserted that wasn't always there. There's a lot of fascinating things going on with the Georgia Guidestones. It's definitely something to look into. But I believe it is a monument for society after an apocalyptic event. And I believe that it was most likely funded by, my theory has always been Ted Turner. Just because it's in Georgia, I don't know why. And because he's been on TV talking about that figure. He's somebody that you can look up instances of him saying humanity needs to be at a level of 500 million. Now, he could have got that from the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know which one first. I don't know what's the chicken and what's the egg. You see what I'm saying? See, I never choose the vape pen. You see, I always go for the cigarette. I don't know. A lot of people that vape and have quit smoking through vaping have told me that if I would just give it a fair shake, if I would just give it a fair try, that I would be able to switch. But I don't know. I'm just not taken to it. But hopefully I did a decent job talking about the Georgia Guidestones. I'm going to do an episode in the video on the Georgia Guidestones, but I want to actually go there. There's certain things that I want to do videos on, but I want to actually go to the place and get my own video. Using the pictures and just talking over the images is all well and good, but I want to make them a little neater. I want to go and get actual footage and do some things. Like I want to go to the Denver International Airport and get some really good video inside of there. That's a fascinating thing we could talk about for a minute if you want to too. If you don't know about the Denver International Airport, look that up. That's an interesting conspiracy. But I'd like to go there and document that place. And I would like to go to the Georgia Guidestones. And there's a few other places that I would like to go to and get some video and get my own footage so that I'm not taking from other videos and making it my own. Giovanna says, why are you showing Masonic symbols in connection with the Catholic Church? Masons get excommunicated because they oppose all forms of tyranny, including religious tyranny. I'm showing Masonic symbols because it's just a slideshow. See, there's an alien picture. So I play the same slideshow in every episode, and they're just conspiracy related images. So while I'm talking about the Catholic Church, the slideshow is just playing. There's all kinds of images in there. But it's the same one I use for every episode. So what you're seeing in the slideshow doesn't always play into what I'm talking about. It sometimes does, like happy coincidences, like when the Georgia Guidestones came up on the screen. But this is random. It just plays during the show. I felt like it was better than having an empty half of the screen, having something else to look at that was kind of neat. Yuli says, from what I understand, the vape is more harmful than cigarettes. Get organic tobacco and papers and roll your own. I've heard that too. I've heard that the vape is worse. But the thing I liked about the vape idea was that you can taper it down. So you can start with 24 milligram nicotine and then go all the way down to like 8 milligram nicotine. They even have vape juice that has no nicotine. So, but I felt like that would be an easier way to wean myself off nicotine. But the best way is probably just cold turkey. Just quitting cold turkey is probably the absolute best way to quit smoking. Oh, Steve, I'm going to go to Denver. And the next time I go, it makes me mad. I went to Colorado on vacation last year, and I didn't go to the Denver International Airport because I had my whole family with me, and it's my own weird thing. But I want to go. I want to go and just really look around that airport. I want to explore, and I do want to see if I can get to any of the tunnels and look at any of that stuff. But I think that would be really cool to go in and check out the Denver International Airport. But is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up? By the way, just while I'm waiting for any comments, thank you guys so much for coming. This is a weekly show. It's called Conspiracy Theories and Chill. We hang out every Friday night. We've been coming on later. We've been coming on at 8:30, and I'm thinking about making that the official new time. We used to come on at 7, but I'm thinking 8:30 works better. We've had better turnouts the last couple weeks, and that's my way of making it sound like it's my idea. It really has to do with my work schedule is forcing me to have to go on at 8:30, but I like it. It's working out better. A lot of the regular people are still coming by, but I'm seeing some new faces. So I like doing it at a later time. But this is weekly. We do it every Friday night. So if you like this, come on back next Friday night and hang out with us. Steve, fake polls. That is bugging the shit out of me. I've been trying to stay away from politics on this show because we've been talking about a lot of politics lately. And I'm very political, so I'm not against talking about politics. It's just this is more of a conspiracy theory show, and I don't want to run people off. I want to keep them separate. I want to start like a news where I talk about news and current events, and I've been playing with that idea. So to separate them and make it two different things. But these fake polls, and what Steve's talking about is, okay, you probably already know, but the media rigs their polls. Like CNN wasn't sharing the results of anybody under the age of 50 in a certain poll. And anything they can do to make it look like Bernie is losing to Biden, they'll rig the polls and they'll put it out as truth. And the problem is people believe the media is real. People believe that news is really news, and they believe that Joe Biden is polling 34% and Bernie's polling 15%. That is complete fucking horseshit. It's ridiculous, and that is something that we're up against, unfortunately. The media is controlled by the establishment, and the establishment does not want Bernie Sanders and would rather have Donald Trump win another term than have Bernie Sanders become president of the United States. And Don't think for a second that's just about Bernie Sanders. That's about keeping us down. They see the movement. They see the energy. They see the momentum behind what Bernie's doing. Whether you agree with him or not, if you're an American, democracy and the truth need to be important to you. So when you see them suppressing and trying to stop this political movement and stop people from using their power and their voice, it needs to raise a red flag for you. I've said this before. You can't wait for them to come for you. You have to take issue when injustice is being done. If things like voting and the truth and democracy don't matter, then I don't know what the hell we're even fighting for. But the media is going to try and rig the shit out of this. They've already started, and it's just mind-blowing that they're doing it again, because that just shows you that there is, even though we feel woke and we feel like a lot of people are waking up and a lot of people are coming around and starting to realize what's really going on and question and inform themselves, and while that is true, the powers that be understand that the majority of people are still brainwashed and deep asleep. And they watch their TV and they believe what Rachel Maddow tells them to be true, and that's what they do. So we're going to have to fight that. We're going to have to be the media, and it's getting harder to do that because we're not standing up and fighting back. Like, we keep making excuses when they deplatform people like Alex Jones. And I do not like Alex Jones. Alex Jones is controlled opposition, and he's a ripoff of my hero, William Cooper. There's two reasons why I don't like him. I'll give you a third reason. Some people think that he's Bill Hicks. I don't like him because he's ruining the legacy of Bill Hicks by looking like him. But I agree that he should have a platform. He should be able to be, his voice should be out there. And the reason I agree with that is because I agree that my voice should be out there. You know, I don't have to agree with what he's saying to agree with his right to be able to say it. And it's also your right to not listen to him. But deplatforming him didn't cripple Alex Jones. His website's more popular than ever. You made him a martyr. But Yuli says we're still in a bubble. Yeah. It's overwhelming sometimes when you think of what we're up against. Like the media, for example. The media is a beast. The American mainstream media is a literal beast. And it is probably our biggest enemy. It gets ignored because I don't think people realize the strength and power of it, or they don't occupy enough of their time or take into consideration that they're holding back society. They're misinforming and misdirecting the average person so badly that they're holding back progress. And in that way, they are a huge enemy to society in general, to the human race. And the media is weaponized in America, and it's fully legal for it to be. That was made fully legal. The use of propaganda against the American people was made legal by President Obama. Not that it wasn't done before that, but it's legal. Now it's fully legal. Sam says control the media and you control the people. Clearly. The media needs to be taken down, and the only way to get it taken down is to get the eyeballs off the screens. The media needs eyeballs on screens and fingers on clickers in order to function and exist. If that went away, they go away. And they're shooting themselves in the foot in certain ways. Like Rachel Maddow's ratings have drastically dropped since the Mueller report was released, and people have realized you've been bullshitting me for 2 fucking years, you know. But most people don't ever question They just, you're seeing it still. I'm seeing people still going on about the collusion in the Mueller report. Have you read the Mueller report? I understand that parts of it are redacted, but it shows incompetence. It shows like a hilarious at times level of incompetence, and it shows someone afraid of being persecuted and prosecuted. But I don't think there's any crimes in it. I think Mueller's right. There's no new indictments, and there's nothing there. There never was. Russia didn't influence the election. What happened was the Democrats rigged the 2016 primary, and the media tried to brainwash the American people like they always do, and tried to control the narrative and slide Hillary Clinton into the presidency when she was one of the most disliked political candidates of all time. And instead, you're right, that Mason logo comes up a lot. Instead, she lost to Donald fucking Trump, a reality television star. I don't even want to call him a businessman, because look into the man. Most of his businesses have failed. Everything he has because he inherited from his father, and he's lost most of that. So I don't understand how people are so impressed with Donald Trump and how they can have the ideas about him that they have at all, because to me, he does nothing to show you anything like that. When I look at that man, all I see is a narcissist. I believe all Donald Trump cares about is himself and what he can do for himself. I don't see a hero there at all, and I don't see how anybody have attached these heroic qualities to him. You know, I hope I'm not being a jackass. I know I have people that follow Q and do believe in Trump that watch this show, and I don't want to sound like a jackass, but I want to believe that stuff. I want to believe that Trump is taking down the deep state, and Trump is, going to bring out and arrest all these pedophile rings and sex trafficking rings. And I want to believe all of that. I do. And that's the only reason why I'm focusing on it so hard lately, is because I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know. I can't find it. I can't see it. I don't know where it is. Makes no sense to me. I just don't see these traits in the man. But I think I got to wrap up, because I think my wife wants to go to bed. She's got to get up early in the morning, and I am dominating the bedroom. But thank you guys so much for coming. If you shared, virtual high five, you rock. Thank you for doing that. This has been Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and we do this every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Central from Politics and Stuff right here. And if you're catching it later on, go ahead and still comment. And leave me anything you want to hear us get into in future shows. I'm always looking for ideas of what kind of videos you guys want to see and what kind of topics you want to see me cover. And I always need ideas for videos. I do a video every week, so I always welcome your ideas. Anything you want to see, or anything you would like to see us go into in future episodes, or ideas for guests. I like having guests on. So if you have an idea for a guest you'd like me to interview, let me know that too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for another episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill.